Hey everybody, this is Pastor Vic over here with Breakthrough Ministries, and today I want to speak on a subject of perspective truth versus absolute truth. And I'm going to start off with the subject of the transgender bathrooms. That seems to be a very popular subject going on today. And first off, I want to say that by all means, I am not pushing any agendas or even my own personal perspective or viewpoint of this. I just want to give some absolute truth. First off, I want to say that it is your right to feel however you feel about something and to view things however you want to view them. That is what perspective truth is. I might look at something from my perspective and see one thing, and you may look at it from a different perspective and see another thing. And that's okay. We could look at things differently, and I can hold my own personal truth based off my perspective, and you can hold your own personal truth based off of your perspective. However, perspective truth only becomes a problem when it begins to dictate absolute truth. See, absolute truth is not based off of perspective, but it is based off fact. And it is based off something that is objective and has substance. See, when it comes to the use of the men's room or the women's room, it was never based off of perspective. It was never based off of how someone identifies themselves. That is why you cannot use the term prejudice or bigotry when concerning male and female restrooms. It was solely based off of the anatomy of an individual, not the sexual orientation. And regardless how you feel or what your perspective of how you identify yourself as, your anatomy has not changed. Your anatomy is absolute truth, which is why if you are of the male organ anatomy, then you need to use the men's room. And if you have a female anatomy, then you need to use the women's room, strictly based off of absolute truth of the anatomy of your body. Not my preference, not your preference, not what I feel is comfortable, not what you feel is comfortable, not about this person's right or that person's right, but simply based off of the anatomy of your body as it was created and as it is. Now, on a different note, I want to speak to the Christian community out there who's been barking and screaming about this whole transgender issue. As if transgender people have not been going to whatever bathroom they want and we haven't even noticed. But in this case, the church wants to scream absolute truth. And you know what? I'm with you. I'm all for absolute truth. But before we begin to dictate what is absolute truth in other people's lives, let's begin to take a dose of our own medicine. That's right. The same way, my body is the anatomy of who I am. This, my friends, is the anatomy of who God is and how we are to live a Christian life. The Bible. See, this has been misused based off perspective truth for centuries. We have bent and twisted this to follow our own agendas and make it whatever we want it to be and to justify who we've become. Now, if we want the world to follow absolute truth, I say we need to start to read and know the absolute truth so that absolute truth of God could ring true in our own lives. See, in a society that is filled with a sugar-coated gospel, with a prosperity message, and a hyper-grace movement like never seen before, where people claim to be Christian yet live as the world, how dare we scream absolute truth when we are not placing the absolute truth that we believe and tell the world that we follow in our own lives? That makes no sense. Let's end the hypocrisy. If we want the world to live by absolute truth, let's begin to show them that we live by the absolute truth of our faith in Jesus Christ. Let's pick up this Bible. Let's read these words and stop leaving it to interpretation. And let's do what God calls us to do. That's just my perspective on absolute truth in today's day and age. If the church starts to live by absolute truth, watch the world follow suit. I love you guys. Enjoy your weekend. And remember, Christ life.